The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the driveway as Henry Mitchell guided his weathered pickup truck to a stop. His calloused hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white from tension he hadn't realized he was holding. 15 months of active deployment had changed him, honed his instincts to razor sharpness. And those instincts were now screaming that something was wrong, that he scanned his surroundings with a methodical precision that had kept him alive in combat. The modest two-story colonial house stood silent, its white paint showing signs of neglect. The flower beds Maya had once tended with such pride were overrun with weeds, the roses withering from lack of care. It wasn't just neglect. It was abandonment. His last video call with Lily played in his mind as he reached for his military duffel. 2 weeks ago, she'd seemed different, subdued. He'd attributed it to typical preteen moodiness. But now, everything okay at home, princess? He'd asked. Yes, Daddy, she'd replied, but her eyes had darted away from the camera. Mom's been really busy lately. The gravel crunched beneath his boots as he approached the front door. Mrs. Anderson, their elderly neighbor, was watching from her porch next door. She raised her hand in greeting, but there was something apologetic in her wave that made Henry's chest tighten. His key slid into the lock with familiar resistance, but before he could turn it, the door swung open. Daddy! For a heartbeat. Henry saw the flash of pure joy in his daughter's eyes, that unconditional love he'd carried with him through every dark night in hostile territory. But something was wrong. Lily's smile didn't reach her eyes, and there was a shadow there that hadn't existed in their previous calls. Hey, sweetheart, he said softly, dropping his bag to catch her in an embrace. At 12, she was taller now, but still so small in his arms. As he held her, he felt a slight tremor run through her body. When he pulled back to look at her face, his combat-trained eyes caught what others might miss. The bruise was artfully concealed, mostly hidden by her long dark hair, but Henry spotted it immediately, a yellowish discoloration along her jawline that had no business being there. His daughter, his little girl, was trying to hide it with the way she held her head, but 15 months of identifying threats had taught Henry to see what others wanted to keep hidden. Where's your mother? He asked, keeping his voice steady despite the alarm bells ringing in his head. Years of military training had taught him to control his reactions, to analyze before acting. She's not home, Lily answered, her voice barely above a whisper. She said she had errands to run. Henry nodded, stepping into the house. The interior felt wrong, sterile, and unfamiliar. The family photos that had once lined the hallway were gone, replaced by generic art prints he didn't recognize. The air felt stale, devoid of the home-cooked meals that had once welcomed him back. Did I in the living room? More changes jumped out at him. The comfortable old armchair where he used to read to Lily was replaced by a sleek, modern piece that looked expensive and uninviting. Shopping bags from high-end stores were scattered across the floor, their logos speaking of money that shouldn't have been spent. Let's sit down, he said, guiding Lily to the couch. I want to hear about everything I've missed. Lily perched on the edge of the cushion, her hands fidgeting in her lap. She'd always been reserved, taking after him more than her mother in that regard. But this was different. The quiet confidence she'd inherited from him was gone, replaced by something that looked too much like fear. School's okay, she started, but her voice cracked. I got all A's this semester. That's my girl, Henry said warmly, trying to coax out the daughter he remembered. He noticed how she sat slightly turned, protecting her right side. Another red flag his training wouldn't let him ignore. But something's bothering you, isn't it, Lily? You know you can tell me anything. The tears came suddenly, silent at first, then building into quiet sobs that shook her small frame. Henry moved closer, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. She flinched, a reaction that sent ice through his veins. He'd seen that flinch before, in villages they'd liberated, in faces that had seen too much violence. Daddy, she choked out, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you, but she said he'd hurt me worse if I did. Henry's mind shifted into tactical mode, the same clarity he'd experienced in combat taking over. Who said that, sweetheart? He asked, though a terrible suspicion was already forming. Who would hurt you? Lily's words came in broken gasps between sobs, each one hitting him like enemy fire. Mom, she brought him here. I wasn't supposed to be home, but I felt sick and came back early from Jenny's house. They were in your bedroom." Henry maintained his composure as Lily continued, each word building a picture he would give anything to erase. "I was so scared, Daddy. I didn't know what to do." He was kissing her, and they didn't hear me at first, but then I dropped my backpack and... She touched the bruise on her jaw, the gesture making her seem even smaller. He got so angry. He hit me and pushed me against the wall. Mom just stood there. She didn't stop him. And after he left, she told me if I ever told you, he'd come back and kill me. The rage that surged through Henry was unlike anything he'd experienced in combat. This was different, primal, and personal. But his training kicked in, helping him compartmentalize the anger, storing it away for later use. Right now, his daughter needed his strength, not his fury. "Listen to me very carefully, Lily," he said, taking her trembling hands in his. His voice was steady, the same tone he'd used to calm younger soldiers in their first firefight. "You did nothing wrong. Nothing. And I promise you, no one will ever hurt you again. Do you understand?" She nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. The gesture was so childlike, so innocent, that it made his heart ache. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, dreading the answer, but needing to understand the full scope of the situation. "Since a few months after you left," Lily whispered. "Mom started going out more, saying she needed time for herself. Then one day, she brought him here. I heard them laughing about you, about how you'd never know." The casual cruelty of it, not just the betrayal, but the mockery, struck him like a physical blow. But he kept his voice gentle, gathering intelligence like he'd been trained to do. "Does he come here often?" Lily nodded, her words coming faster now, as if a dam had broken. "Almost every weekend. Sometimes during the week, too. Mom gives him money. I've seen her take it from your account. She buys him expensive things. New clothes, watches. She said it was her right, that you owed her for leaving." The sound of a car pulling into the driveway cut through their conversation. Lily stiffened, panic flashing across her face. Henry squeezed her hand reassuringly before standing to face whatever came through that door. He'd faced down enemies in combat. He could face this through the window. He watched Maya step out of a car he didn't recognize, a new luxury model that definitely wasn't in their budget. She was wearing clothes he'd never seen before, designer labels he couldn't afford on his military salary. His tactical mind cataloged the changes: new haircut, expensive jewelry, no wedding ring. The woman who walked through that door was a stranger wearing his wife's face. Maya breezed through the front door, designer shopping bags dangling from her arms, her high heels clicking against the hardwood floors. When she spotted Henry, her step faltered for just a fraction of a second, a tell that his combat-trained eyes didn't miss. Then the smile appeared, practiced and hollow, like a mask sliding into place. "Henry, you're home early. We weren't expecting you until tomorrow." She set her bags down, the logos of exclusive boutiques facing outward like small declarations of war. Her movement toward him was graceful but calculated, arms opening for an embrace. He didn't meet, he remained still, studying her with the same intensity he'd used to assess threats in the field. The woman before him bore little resemblance to the person he'd married 13 years ago. Her hair was expertly styled, her makeup perfect, her nails freshly manicured. Everything about her screamed of money they didn't have, or rather, money they shouldn't have had. "Funny," he said, his voice controlled and even. "I called last week to tell you I'd be home today. Must have slipped your mind." Maya's smile flickered, like a faulty light bulb threatening to go dark. "Oh, did you? I've been so busy lately managing everything here on my own. You know how it is?" She gestured vaguely at their surroundings, at the new furniture and art that had replaced their family memories. "I do know how it is," Henry replied, his eyes moving deliberately to the shopping bags. "Looks like you've been managing just fine." Something shifted in Maya's expression, a hardness replacing the facade of welcome. The mask slipped further, revealing glimpses of the stranger beneath. "Well, someone had to keep things running while you were gone, playing soldier." The casual dismissal of his service, of the months spent in hostile territory, of the brothers he'd lost, of the nightmares he still carried, would have wounded him once. Now it only confirmed what he already knew. The woman he'd loved was gone, if she'd ever truly existed at all. "Lily, sweetheart," he said, not taking his eyes off Maya. "Why don't you go up to your room for a bit? I need to talk to your mother." Lily hesitated, looking between her parents with obvious fear. The sound of her quiet footsteps retreating upstairs echoed in the tense silence. "I think we need to discuss what's been happening while I was away," Henry said quietly, each word measured and precise. Maya had already turned her attention to her shopping bags, pulling out expensive clothes with practiced indifference. "Nothing's been happening. I've been taking care of our daughter and maintaining our home, which is more than I can say for you." "Is that what you call it?" Henry's voice remained low, but there was steel beneath the words. "Taking care of our daughter? Is that what you were doing when you let your lover assault her?" Maya's hands froze over a silk blouse, her knuckles whitening around the fabric. Then she straightened, turning to face him with a defiance that bordered on contempt. She shouldn't have been here. She was supposed to be at her friend's house. The casual way she said it, as if Lily being in her own home was the problem, made Henry's blood boil. But he maintained his composure, years of military discipline serving him well. "So, you're not even going to deny it?" "Why should I?" Maya's laugh was bitter, edged with something ugly. "You're never here, Henry. What did you expect? That I'd just sit around waiting for you like some loyal dog? I have needs. I have wants. And John, he understands that." "John," Henry repeated the name, committing it to memory like he would an enemy combatant's position. "The man who hit our 12-year-old daughter. The man you're stealing my money to support." "Our money," Maya corrected, her voice sharp as a blade. "And what I do with it is my business. You've been gone for 15 months, Henry. Did you think everything would just pause while you were away playing hero?" "Playing hero?" Henry took a step forward, and Maya instinctively backed up, her designer heel catching on one of her shopping bags. "I was serving my country, protecting people, including you and Lily. But it seems you needed protection from something closer to home." Maya's face hardened, her features settling into lines of cold calculation. "Don't you dare judge me. You have no idea what it's been like here." And if Lily had kept her mouth shut like she was told. "If you finish that sentence," Henry cut her off, his voice deadly quiet, "you might not like what happens next." For the first time, real fear flickered across Maya's face. She recovered quickly, but Henry had seen at the realization that she didn't know this version of her husband, couldn't predict what he might do. The man who had left for deployment wasn't the same one standing before her now. "Are you threatening me?" she asked, trying to sound confident, but unable to hide the tremor in her voice. "No," Henry replied. "I'm promising you that if you ever endanger our daughter again, there will be consequences. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions, and you're going to answer them honestly. Where does John live?" Maya's chin lifted in defiance. "I'm not telling you anything about him." "You will," Henry said simply. "Because right now, the only thing keeping me from going to the police about the assault on Lily is the fact that it would traumatize her further to go through that process. But if you don't cooperate, I might decide it's worth it." Maya's facade cracked like thin ice under too much weight. "You wouldn't. It would ruin everything. Your career, our reputation. Try me." She must have seen something in his eyes, something that spoke of the changes 15 months of combat had wrought, because she sank into one of her new designer chairs, suddenly looking deflated. "He has an apartment downtown, the Miller Building on 7th Street. But Henry, you can't. He's dangerous. He has connections." "So do I," Henry replied coldly. "How much of our money have you given him?" Maya looked away, her fingers tracing the expensive fabric of her new clothes. "I don't know exactly. Maybe 50,000 over the past year." The number hit him like a physical blow, but he didn't let it show. When he spoke, his voice was steady, methodical. "You're going to sign over your access to all our accounts today. And you're going to tell me everything you know about John. His full name, his habits, his background. Everything. And if I refuse, then I'll file for divorce immediately, citing adultery and child endangerment. I'll get full custody of Lily, and you'll get nothing. Your choice." Maya stared at him for a long moment, then laughed a harsh, brittle sound that held no humor. "You know what? Do it. File for divorce. You think you can control everything, just like you always have. but you have no idea what's really going on. John and we've been planning this for months. We knew you'd be back eventually, trying to play the righteous husband and father. Go ahead, try to stop us. You'll regret it." The threat hung in the air between them like smoke after an explosion. Henry studied his wife, this stranger wearing Maya's face, and felt something inside him shift. The last lingering doubt about what needed to be done vanished like morning mist under a harsh sun. "I'm going to check on our daughter," he said quietly. "When I come back down, I expect you to be ready to have a serious discussion about how we move forward. And Maya." He paused at the foot of the stairs, his voice carrying the weight of experience earned in combat. "If you try to contact John while I'm upstairs, remember I've spent the last 15 months learning how to know when someone's lying to me. Don't test that training." As he climbed the stairs, Henry could hear Maya's manicured nails already tapping at her phone screen. Let her make her calls, he thought. Let her run to her lover. They had no idea what they'd awakened. Not the soldier, but the father. And a father protecting his child was more dangerous than any enemy he'd faced in combat. Henry found Lily sitting cross-legged on her bed, clutching the stuffed penguin he'd sent her from his last deployment. The sight of her so young, so vulnerable, crystallized everything in his mind. In combat, he learned that sometimes retreat wasn't surrender. It was tactical repositioning for a stronger counterattack. "Did you hear any of that?" he asked gently, sitting beside her on the purple comforter she'd had since she was 8. She nodded, her fingers working nervously at the penguin's worn fabric. "Some of it. Mom's not sorry, is she?" "No, sweetheart, she's not." Henry chose his words carefully, remembering how his commanding officer had once told him that truth, delivered properly, was the strongest armor. "But that's not your fault. None of this is your fault. What's going to happen now?" Her voice trembled, and Henry saw the same fear he'd witnessed in civilians caught in war zones, the uncertainty of what came next. He pulled her close, kissing the top of her head. The familiar scent of her strawberry shampoo grounded him, reminding him of what was at stake. "Now, we make sure you're safe. I'm going to take care of everything. I just need you to trust me. Can you do that?" Lily nodded against his chest. "I always trust you, Daddy." "Good girl. I want you to pack a bag, enough clothes for a few days. We're going to stay at a hotel tonight." He stood, military efficiency taking over. "Pack warm clothes, your school books, and anything important you don't want to leave behind." As Lily began gathering her things, Henry surveyed her room with tactical awareness. The window faced the backyard, potential escape route if needed. The tree outside could provide cover. Old habits died hard, and right now, those habits might save them. "What about Mr. Waddles?" Lily asked, holding up the penguin. "He's definitely coming with us." Henry managed a smile, though his mind was already mapping out the next several moves in this new kind of warfare. "Pack your laptop too. We might need it." While Lily packed, Henry quickly moved to the master bedroom. The room felt tainted now, knowing what had happened here. He grabbed his go bag from the closet, the one he always kept ready, a habit from his service days. Inside were emergency cash, spare ID documents, and a burner phone he'd never told Maya about. That a quick search of Maya's dresser revealed what he was looking for. A small notebook hidden beneath her lingerie. Inside were handwritten notes, account numbers, and an address he committed to memory. Maya had always been careless with important information, assuming no one would look. Voices drifted up from downstairs. Maya on the phone, her tone urgent and hushed. Henry's enhanced hearing, honed by months of listening for enemy movement, caught fragments of the conversation. "He's back early? No, I don't think he suspects everything. Just stay away for now. I'll handle him." Henry's jaw tightened. She was already lying. He'd made it clear he knew about John, yet she was still trying to manipulate the situation. Moving quietly, he returned to Lily's room. "Ready, sweetheart?" She nodded, shouldering her backpack. The sight of her bruised face in the fading daylight hardened his resolve. In combat, he'd learned to channel anger into focused action. That lesson would serve him well now. "Remember what I taught you about situational awareness?" he asked as they moved toward the stairs. "Yes. Always know where the exits are. Always have a backup plan." "Good girl. We're going to walk downstairs calmly. If Mom tries to stop us, you keep walking to the truck. Don't stop. Don't argue. just like we practiced when I taught you emergency procedures. Understand? Lily's chin lifted slightly, a gesture that reminded him of himself. Yes, Daddy. They descended the stairs to find Maya still on her phone, pacing the living room. She ended the call abruptly when she saw them, her eyes narrowing at their packed bags. Where do you think you're going? She demanded, moving to block the door. Lily and I are leaving for a few days, Henry stated calmly, positioning himself between his daughter and his wife. When we return, things will be different. You can't take her, Maya protested, her voice rising. I'm her mother. You have no right. You lost the right to call yourself that when you chose your lover over her safety. Henry's voice was ice, the same tone he'd used when confronting enemy combatants. We'll be back when I've decided how to handle this situation. Until then, I suggest you think very carefully about your next moves. Because I promise you, Maya, you have no idea what I'm capable of. Maya's face contorted with rage. Is that a threat? Because John is the least of your concerns right now. Henry cut her off, guiding Lily toward the door. You might want to remind him that assaulting a minor is a federal offense. And Maya, he paused, letting her see the cold determination in his eyes. The next time he raises a hand to my daughter will be the last time he raises a hand to anyone. They walked to the truck, Henry's body angled to shield Lily from Maya's view. He helped her into the passenger seat, then walked around to the driver's side. Every movement measured and deliberate. As he started the engine, he caught Maya in the rearview mirror, already back on her phone. Let her call John. Let them plot and scheme. They thought they were dealing with a simple soldier, someone they could intimidate and control. Where are we going? Lily asked quietly as they pulled away from the only home she'd ever known. First, we're going to stop at the bank, Henry replied, his mind already several steps ahead. Then we're going to find a safe place to stay while I make some arrangements. The sun was setting as they drove, casting long shadows across the road ahead. But Henry wasn't afraid of shadows anymore. He'd learned in war that darkness was often where justice was best served. And for his daughter, he would serve it without mercy or hesitation. In the passenger seat, Lily hugged Mr. Waddles close, her small face reflecting both fear and trust. Henry reached over and squeezed her hand gently. Everything's going to be okay, sweetheart. I promise. And he meant it, because while Maya and John thought they were scheming, they had no idea they were already at war. Henry had spent 15 months in combat, learning to identify threats, analyze weaknesses, and eliminate dangers to those under his protection now. He would put those skills to use protecting the one person who mattered most. The game had begun, and Maya and John had no idea they were already losing. The Golden Crest Hotel stood 6 stories tall, its weathered brick exterior betraying its age, but not its security features. Henry had chosen it with the same precision he'd used to select patrol routes in combat, analyzing sight lines, access points, and defensive positions. The retired Marine working security, James Cooper, had recognized Henry's military bearing immediately. "Third floor gives you the best visibility," Cooper had said during check-in, his eyes scanning the perimeter even as he processed their paperwork. "Room 312 has a clear view of both parking lots and the street, less exposed than the higher floors." Now, as pre-dawn light filtered through the room's heavy curtains, Henry sat at the small desk, his laptop casting a blue glow across his face. The room was exactly what he needed. 2 queen beds, a kitchenette, and, most importantly, a direct line of sight to all potential approach vectors. His burner phone buzzed. Tom Reynolds, his former squad mate, had come through faster than expected. "You sure about this intel?" Tom's gravelly voice carried the weight of experience. "Because once we start down this road, I'm sure," Henry cut in, his eyes scanning the information on his screen. "Need everything you can get me on John Marshall. Lives at the Miller Building on 7th Street. Has a history of violence." The pause on the other end was telling. "The same John Marshall who runs with Michael Davies' crew?" Henry's fingers stilled over the keyboard. "You know him?" "Know of him. He's Davies' muscle in the loan sharking operation." "Real piece of work." Tom's voice hardened. 3 assault charges in the last 5 years, all mysteriously dropped. The kind of charges that disappear when you've got friends in high places. "Tell me everything." "It's not pretty. Started as a bouncer at the Red Door. worked his way up through intimidation and violence. Now he's Davy's go-to guy for problem-solving. Word is when loans go bad, Marshall makes house calls. Henry's jaw tightened, and Maya got involved with him? From what I'm seeing, it's been going on for months. Credit card receipts show them at high-end restaurants, hotels. Your wife's got expensive taste, brother. She's not my wife anymore. Henry's voice was ice. Not after what she let him do to Lily. Another pause. What did he do? Put his hands on my 12-year-old daughter. Left bruises. And Maya. Henry's grip on the phone threatened to crack the case. Maya told Lily he'd kill her if she told me. Jesus Christ. Tom's breath hissed through the line. Give me 2 hours. I'll have everything. His daily routine, his associates, his weaknesses. And Henry? Whatever you're planning, I've got your 6. Appreciate it. Henry ended the call, his military mind already processing the new information. John wasn't just some random affair partner. He was connected, dangerous. The kind of man who thought money and connections made him untouchable. The kind of man who'd never faced a real opponent, that a soft whimper from the adjacent bed drew his attention. Lily was having another nightmare, her small form curled tightly around Mr. Waddles. Henry moved to her side, his steps silent from years of combat training. He gently stroked her hair until the trembling subsided. The bruise on her jaw was darker now, its mottled colors a roadmap of violence that no child should have to bear. His phone buzzed another message from Maya. Stop being childish. Come home, and we can talk about this like adults. Delete. Block. In the past 12 hours, she'd cycled through threats, manipulation, and fake concern. Each message only confirmed what he already knew. She was incapable of real remorse. The laptop chimed. Tom's first intelligence package had arrived. Henry's eyes narrowed as he read through the attached files. John Marshall, age 38. 6 feet 2 inches, 210 pounds. Multiple arrests but no convictions. Known associate of several local crime figures. Regular at the Red Door nightclub every Thursday night. A creature of habit who followed the same routine most days. Daddy. Lily's voice was small in the dimness. Are you still awake? Right here, sweetheart. He moved to sit on the edge of her bed, noting how she automatically shifted to keep the bruised side of her face away from him. Bad dream? She nodded, clutching Mr. Waddles tighter. I saw him again. In our house. He was... Her voice cracked. He was hurting you this time. Listen to me. Henry took her small hands in his, remembering how he'd once taught her to throw a baseball, to ride a bike. How they ended up here. No one is going to hurt either of us. You know why? Why? Because I've spent 15 years learning how to protect people. In the military, they taught us that the best defense is being smarter than your enemy. And right now, that's exactly what we're doing. Being smart. But Mom said he has friends. Important friends? So do I. Henry smiled, though there was no warmth in it. Remember Staff Sergeant Tom? The one who sent you that desert rose from Baghdad. Lily nodded. The pretty pink one in the glass case? That's right. Well, Tom's helping us now. And he's just one of many friends I have. People who understand that protecting family is the most important thing in the world. His phone buzzed again. Not Maya this time, but a different number. He answered on the first ring. Got something for you. Tom said without preamble. Marshall's got a regular meet at the Red Door tonight. Every Thursday like clockwork. Sits at the same table, drinks the same overpriced scotch. Who's his usual company? That's the interesting part. Your wife's been showing up there for months now. They're not exactly subtle about it. But here's what caught my attention. Marshall owns property. An old warehouse off Industrial Drive. Inherited it from his father's business. Tell me about the warehouse. 3 stories, mostly empty. He uses it for private meetings, the kind of cops don't know about. It's isolated, minimal traffic, no working cameras in the area. And get this, there's an old office on the top floor. That's where he takes his special guests. A plan began forming in Henry's mind. Any chance of getting eyes inside the Red Door? Already handled. You got a job interview with Frank Miller, the owner, at 4 today. Seems they're short a bouncer. Fast work. That's not all, Tom continued. Marshall's got patterns. Predictable ones. After the club, He likes to show off his warehouse to new associates. Real private guy about his business dealings. Perfect. Henry's military mind was already formulating scenarios, analyzing angles. What's his protection like? Carries a Glock 19, right side holster. Usually has backup nearby, but not at the warehouse. That's his private playground. Good to know. One more thing. How's his relationship with Davies? Solid. Tom's laugh was dark. Far from it. Word is Marshall's been skimming. Getting sloppy. Davies is already looking for a replacement, just waiting for the right moment. Interesting. Very interesting. Thanks, Tom. Henry ended the call and checked the time. 5:30 a.m. Lily would need to be up for school soon. He'd enrolled her in a new district yesterday, wanting to maintain some normalcy while keeping her away from Maya's influence. His phone buzzed again. Maya, John wants to talk to you. Man to man. Clear the air. Henry's laugh was cold and humorless. They were playing right into his hands, and they didn't even know it. Daddy. Lily was sitting up now, her eyes too old for her young face. Are we ever going home? Henry moved to sit beside her, choosing his words carefully. Home isn't a place, sweetheart. It's where we're together and safe. Right now, that's here. But soon, we'll find a new place. A better place? What about Mom? Your mother made her choices. Henry kept his voice gentle, but firm. Sometimes people show us who they really are, and we have to believe them, no matter how much it hurts. Lily leaned against him, her small frame still trembling slightly. I'm scared. I know, but being scared is okay. It means you're smart enough to understand danger. And you know what else? What? Being scared doesn't mean you're not brave. It means you keep going anyway, just like you did when you told me the truth. That was very brave. She was quiet for a long moment. Are you scared sometimes, Daddy? Yes. He kissed the top of her head, but not of men like John Marshall. I'm only scared of failing the people I love. That's why we're going to be smart about this. No mistakes. As Lily drifted back to sleep, Henry returned to his laptop. The pieces were falling into place. John thought himself invincible, protected by his connections and Maya's manipulation. But Henry had learned in combat that every target had vulnerabilities. You just had to know where to look, and John Marshall's vulnerabilities were becoming clearer by the minute. The Red Door nightclub pulsed with bass-heavy music as Henry walked through the employee entrance at exactly 3:45 p.m. The heavy metal door closed behind him with a solid thunk that reminded him of compound gates in combat zones. Frank Miller's office was at the end of a narrow hallway, past stacked liquor boxes and between security camera blind spots that Henry automatically cataloged. Frank looked exactly as Tom had described. Heavy-set, balding, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He barely glanced at the resume Tom had created. Military background? Frank asked, shuffling through papers on his cluttered desk. 3 tours. Special operations. Frank's eyes narrowed. Tom Reynolds vouches for you. Says you're solid in a crisis. Tom and I served together. Yeah. Where? Kandahar. 2019. Henry kept his voice neutral. Bad winter. Frank nodded slowly. Tom never talks about that winter. He stamped some paperwork with more force than necessary. Look, I'll be straight with you. Thursday nights get rough here. Certain customers think their connections make them untouchable. Need someone who can handle delicate situations without creating bigger problems. I understand delicate situations. Bet you do. Frank leaned back. Here's the deal. You start tonight. Regular shifts are Thursday through Sunday, but I need coverage tonight specifically. Previous guy had an unfortunate accident. Henry caught the hesitation. John Marshall's accident? Frank's face went carefully blank. You know about Marshall? Know enough to stay out of his way. Smart man. Frank relaxed slightly. Marshall's a regular. He gets certain courtesies. Long as he behaves, we don't have problems. When he doesn't, Frank gestured at a framed license on the wall. Keeps me in business, if you understand me. I understand protection money. Good. Start at 8. Black shirt, black pants. Keep the peace, but don't make waves with Marshall's crew. They tip well when they're happy. Henry stood. Anything else I should know? Yeah. Frank's voice dropped. Marshall's got a new lady friend. Wife of some military guy. If they show up together, you don't see anything. You don't hear anything. Far as you're concerned, they don't exist. Understood. Henry spent the next few hours preparing. He changed into black tactical pants and a fitted black t-shirt that wouldn't restrict movement. The outfit looked civilian enough, but the pants had reinforced knees and hidden pockets that could prove useful to a T-730. He called Lily's new school, confirming she'd been picked up by Mrs. Cooper, the security guard's wife, who'd agreed to watch her for the evening. She's doing fine, Mrs. Cooper assured him. Working on homework now. James is teaching her chess after dinner. Thank you for this. No thanks needed. James told me what happened. We take care of our own. By 8 o'clock, Henry was in position at the red door, learning the layout from another bouncer named Marcus. Back exits the hot spot, Marcus explained, pointing out camera positions. Dealers try to use it for quick transactions. Management looks the other way for certain customers, but we stop the obvious ones. Regular trouble spots? VIP section, usually. Thursdays when Marshall holds court. His boys get rowdy sometimes, but we don't intervene unless he signals us. Henry memorized the floor plan, noting sight lines and potential choke points. The main bar offered a clear view of Marshall's preferred table. The emergency exit behind it hadn't been up to code in years. Its alarm disabled for convenient access, a T9 sharp. John Marshall walked in like he owned the place. Henry observed from his post, cataloging details. 6'2", muscular but running to fat. Moved like a boxer past his prime. Right hand dominant, weapon visible as a slight bulge under his designer jacket. 2 bodyguards following at a respectful distance. That's him, Marcus muttered. Remember what Frank said? Marshall claimed his usual table, ordering scotch with a casual arrogance that spoke of complete confidence in his position. 10 minutes later, Maya arrived that Henry's military training was the only thing that kept his expression neutral. His wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, wore a dress that probably cost more than his monthly salary. She moved through the crowd with practiced ease, playing her part perfectly. He'll show, Maya was saying as Henry moved past their table. Just another faceless security guard. Henry's too self-righteous not to. John's laugh was ugly. And when he does, we'll explain how things work now. If he's smart, he'll take the deal. And if he's not smart, then he'll learn why people in this town don't cross me. John's hand moved possessively to Maya's thigh. Besides, your military hero isn't built for civilian problems. Men like him, they're all rules and regulations. They break easy in the real world. Maya's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Just remember what we discussed. No permanent damage. Worried about your meal ticket? Worried about complications. Henry has friends in the military. We need to be smart about this. John's face darkened. You questioning my methods? No, baby. Maya's voice turned soothing. Just thinking ahead. Like you taught me. Henry continued his rounds, gathering intelligence. Their arrogance made them careless. They discussed plans openly, assuming no one would dare listen too closely. WY11. John was on his 4th scotch, his movements becoming loose and aggressive. He'd already shoved one waiter for spilling a drink. The incident smoothed over with a handful of hundreds and Frank's careful intervention. He's not coming, John finally growled, his words slightly slurred. Guess your husband's smarter than you thought. Maya's face showed real fear for the first time. He'll come around. He has to. The custody hearing. No more games. John stood, swaying slightly. I'm done playing nice. Tomorrow, we do this my way. What does that mean? John grabbed her arm, hard enough to make her wince. It means your husband's going to learn what happens to people who don't show me proper respect. Maybe we start with another visit to his precious daughter. Henry's hands clenched at his sides, but his face remained impassive. He watched them leave, noting how John's hand kept straying to his right side where the Glock was hidden. He waited 15 minutes, then radioed Frank. Family emergency. Need to cut out early. No problem. See you tomorrow? Count on it. Henry followed them at a safe distance, his motorcycle silent in the night. As Tom had predicted, they headed straight for the warehouse on Industrial Drive. He parked his bike out of sight and moved in on foot. Years of combat training making him invisible in the shadows, the warehouse was perfect, isolated, soundproof, with multiple entry points. Henry spent 30 minutes observing, mapping the layout, noting the cameras that hadn't worked in years. He watched John and Maya leave together in John's car, her laughter carrying across the empty lot. When he returned to the hotel, Lily was still awake despite the late hour, sitting at the small table with Mr. Waddles while James Cooper taught her chess. Knight to e4, James was saying. Always protect your king. Is that what Daddy did in the army? Lily asked. Protect people? That's exactly what your dad did. James looked up as Henry entered. And he was damn good at it. After the Coopers left, Lily hugged Henry tightly. Did you catch the bad guys? Not yet, sweetheart. He stroked her hair. But soon, very soon, once Lily was asleep, Henry made one final call. Still got my 6. He asked when Tom answered. Always. Everything's set. Almost. Need you to deliver a message tomorrow. Make sure John gets an anonymous tip about a business opportunity. Tell him there's a buyer interested in his warehouse. Big money, cash deal. He'll suspect a trap? No, he won't. Because Maya's going to convince him it's legitimate. She just doesn't know it yet. Tom was quiet for a moment. You're sure about this? He threatened Lily again tonight. Talked about paying her another visit. Henry's voice was cold steel. Some lines you don't cross. Understood. What time? 9 p.m. And Tom? Make sure the tip mentions coming alone. Say the buyer insists on complete privacy. Copy that. Watch your back, brother. Henry ended the call and looked at his sleeping daughter. In combat, he'd learned that the most dangerous enemies were often the ones who thought they held all the cards. John and Maya were about to learn that lesson the hard way tomorrow. Everything would change. And neither of them would see it coming until it was too late. Dawn broke over the city as Henry finished his final sweep of the warehouse perimeter. The industrial district was silent at this hour, perfect for what he had planned. He'd spent the early morning hours mapping every approach, every exit, every potential variable that could affect tonight's operation. His phone vibrated. Tom. Message delivered, Tom reported. Used one of Davy's old runners to pass the tip. Kid made it convincing. Said he overheard a big developer talking about buying up properties in the area. How did Marshall react? Hook said deep. He called 3 different contacts trying to verify the developer's identity. Getting desperate for cash since Davy started watching the books closer. Henry smiled coldly. And Maya? Just like you predicted. She called Marshall 10 minutes ago, pushing hard for the meeting. Seems she's been doing some creative accounting herself. Needs a big score to cover her tracks. Time to apply pressure then. Henry dialed Maya's number from his burner phone, putting it on speaker so Tom could hear. She answered on the first ring. Henry? Where are you? Somewhere safe. With our daughter. His voice was carefully neutral. The daughter your boyfriend threatened to hurt again? John didn't mean. I heard him last night, Maya. At the club. Heard everything. A sharp intake of breath. You were there? I was. Heard him talk about paying Lily another visit. Heard you try to negotiate how much damage he could do to me. You don't understand. Maya's voice took on the wheedling tone he'd come to recognize as pure manipulation. John's just frustrated. If you just meet with him. Oh, I plan to. Henry let ice creep into his words. Very soon. But first, I made some calls this morning. Interesting things in your banking history, Maya. Things the IRS might want to know about. You're bluffing. The transfers to offshore accounts. The creative bookkeeping at your office. Did you think I wouldn't find out? That your boyfriend's connections would protect you forever. Silence on the line. Then, what do you want? Tell John to take the warehouse deal. 9 p.m. tonight. Alone. How did you? I know everything, Maya. Every lie, every theft, every betrayal. Now you have a choice. Make sure John shows up alone tonight, or I start making phone calls tomorrow morning. He ended the call, looking at Tom. She'll push him to do it? Tom nodded. She's desperate now. But brother, you're playing a dangerous game. Marshall's unstable when he's cornered. Counting on it. Henry pulled up the warehouse blueprints on his tablet. Walk me through the setup one more time. For the next hour, they refined the plan. Every detail had to be perfect. One mistake could be fatal. When Henry returned to the hotel, Lily was awake, working on homework at the small table. She looked up as he entered, her eyes searching his face. You've been gone a long time, she said quietly. Had some things to take care of. He sat across from her, noting how the bruise on her jaw was finally starting to fade. How's the math coming along? It's okay. She hesitated, then asked, Are you going to hurt him? Henry studied his daughter's face, seeing the conflict there. Why do you ask that? Because. She struggled with the words. Because sometimes I want you to. Is that bad? No, sweetheart. He reached across the table, taking her small hand in his. It's not bad to want people who hurt you to face consequences. But I want you to understand something very important. Everything I do, every action I take, is about protecting you, not about revenge. What's the difference? Revenge is about making yourself feel better. Protection is about making sure the threat can never harm anyone again. He squeezed her hand gently. I learned that in the military, we don't fight because we hate what's in front of us. We fight to protect what's behind us. Lily nodded slowly. Like in chess? Mr. Cooper says, sometimes you have to sacrifice pieces to protect the king. Similarly, yes. But in this case, we're not sacrificing anything. We're making sure the people who hurt you can never do it again. He released her hand. Now, how about some lunch before your afternoon classes? After dropping Lily at school, Henry met Tom at their backup location, a small garage owned by another former squad mate. Equipment's ready, Tom reported, opening a heavy duffel bag. All untraceable. Henry inspected the contents with practiced efficiency. Everything he'd need to ensure tonight went exactly as planned. Maya called again, Tom added. She's been pushing Marshall hard about the warehouse deal, playing it like she's looking out for his interests, but letting slip about Davies watching his accounts. Good. The more pressure he feels, the more mistakes he'll make. Henry checked his watch. Time to set up the final piece. They drove to the red door, arriving well before opening. Frank was waiting in his office, looking nervous. This better work, he said as Henry laid out the plan. Marshall finds out I helped. He won't, Henry assured him. You're just doing your job, reporting suspicious activity. And tomorrow, you'll have one less problem customer to worry about. Frank nodded slowly. His behavior has been getting worse. Last week, he put one of my waitresses in the hospital. Paid her off, but he shrugged. Maybe it's time someone dealt with him. As evening approached, Henry made his final preparations. Each step had been planned with military precision. The warehouse had been prepared. The pieces were in position. Now it was just a matter of timing. His phone buzzed with a message from Maya. He's going to the meeting. Alone. Perfect. Henry called Mrs. Cooper to check on Lily's after-school arrangements. Everything was set there, too. His daughter would be safe and far away from what was about to happen. One last thing, Tom said as they did their final equipment check. You sure about this? Once it starts, he threatened my daughter, Tom. Twice. Some lines you don't cross. Tom nodded grimly. All right then, I've got Overwatch from the north position. Radio check at 20:45 hours. Henry drove to his predetermined position near the warehouse, settling into wait. In combat, he'd learned that the moments before an operation were often the most dangerous, when doubt could creep in, when second thoughts could get you killed, but there were no doubts now. John Marshall had made his choices, had chosen to hurt a child, to threaten further violence. Tonight, he would learn that some threats shouldn't be made unless you're prepared to face the consequences. His phone buzzed one final time. Maya again. It's done. He's going alone. Now, keep your end of the deal. Henry didn't bother responding. In a few hours, Maya would learn that her manipulations had played right into his hands. That every move she and John had made had been anticipated, planned for, and turned against them. The sun was setting as Henry made his final preparations. Soon, John Marshall would arrive at his warehouse, expecting to make a deal. Instead, he would face something he'd never encountered before. A man who couldn't be bought, couldn't be threatened, and wouldn't stop until the job was done. It was time to end this. The warehouse district lay silent under the gathering darkness, its abandoned buildings casting long shadows across empty streets. From his position on the adjacent rooftop, Henry watched through his tactical scope as John Marshall's Mercedes pulled up precisely at 9. The expensive car looked out of place among the deteriorating structures, just like its owner. Targets on sight. Tom's voice crackled through the encrypted radio, moving exactly as predicted. No backup visible within half-a-mile radius. Maya's location? Still at the red door, making quite a show of getting noticed. 3 witnesses have already seen her arguing with the bartender about her tab. Henry allowed himself a cold smile. She always did love being the center of attention. You sure about this timeline? Tom's voice carried a hint of concern. Once it starts, it has to be tonight. Henry tracked John's movement through the scope. Davy's accountant made the final transfers this morning. By tomorrow, John will know his overseas accounts are empty. How'd you manage that? Maya's greed. She kept detailed records of every account, thinking she could use them as leverage. Didn't realize she was building the perfect paper trail. Through the scope, Henry watched John approach the warehouse's side entrance, key card in hand. The man moved with artificial confidence, but years of combat experience let Henry read the tension in his shoulders, the way his head kept swiveling to check his surroundings. He's spooked, Tom observed, like a rabbit that knows there's a wolf nearby. Good. Fear makes people sloppy. Henry checked his equipment one final time. Radio silence from here. You know the signals. Copy that. Oh. And Henry? Tom paused. Remember what we talked about. Clean and quick. No time for personal satisfaction. Henry didn't respond. He moved through the shadows like a ghost, each step placed with the precision that had kept him alive through 3 combat tours. The warehouse's layout was burned into his memory after days of reconnaissance. Every creaking floorboard, every blind corner, every possible angle of approach had been cataloged and accounted for that John's footsteps echoed through the empty space as he climbed to the 3rd floor. Henry tracked his movement by sound alone, noting how the steps grew more hesitant with each floor. By the time John reached his office, his breathing was audible, quick, and shallow, respirations that spoke of growing fear. Hello. John's voice carried a tremor he couldn't quite hide. I'm here about the property deal. Thompson Development sent me. Henry let the silence stretch, psychological pressure building with each passing second. He'd learned in combat that fear was often the most effective weapon, not fear of what was happening, but fear of what might happen next. Look, John called out, anger now mixing with the fear. I don't have time for games. Either show yourself or what? Henry stepped from the shadows, his voice deadly quiet. You'll hurt someone? Maybe a 12-year-old girl. John spun, hand reaching for his Glock, but Henry was already inside his guard. One precise strike sent the weapon skittering across the floor into the darkness. Mitchell. Recognition dawned in John's eyes, followed by something close to panic. How did you? This is private property. Amazing what you can learn about someone when they think they're untouchable. Henry's voice remained calm, almost conversational. Their routines, their weaknesses, their desperate need for money to cover what they've been stealing from their boss. John backed up, trying to maintain distance, his expensive shoes scuffing against the dusty floor. You don't understand what you're dealing with. I've got connections. With Davies? Henry smiled, though it never reached his eyes. The same Davies who's been auditing your accounts? Who knows you've been skimming profits for months? He took a measured step forward. The same Davies who's already looking for your replacement? That's a lie. Is it? Maybe you should ask Maya about those overseas transfers. The one she helped you hide. Another step. Or about the evidence she's been gathering. Insurance, she called it, in case you ever turned on her. Confusion flickered across John's face. Maya wouldn't. She knows better than to. She gave me everything. Henry kept his voice level, watching doubt creep into John's expression. Every transaction, every secret meeting, every detail about your operation that Davies might find interesting. You're bluffing. But John's voice lacked conviction. Maya knows what would happen if she betrayed me. Does she? The same way my daughter knew what would happen if she told me about walking in on you. Henry's mask of calm cracked slightly. About how you put your hands on her? About how her own mother stood there and watched? John's face twisted into an ugly sneer, bravado returning as he sensed a weakness to exploit. The little bitch should have kept her mouth shut, just like her mother when I... The rest of his sentence was cut off by Henry's first strike, a precisely targeted blow that shattered John's nose. The bigger man staggered back, blood spraying across his expensive suit. That's the only free shot you get, Henry said quietly. For touching my daughter. John charged with a roar, leading with a wild haymaker, that Henry easily slipped. Combat training took over each movement, economical, each strike targeted to vital points. John had street fighting experience, but he'd never faced someone with Henry's level of training. "I'll kill you." John swung again, his technique getting sloppier as panic set in. "I'll kill you, and then I'll pay your daughter another visit." Henry's response was surgical, a combination that collapsed John's knee, followed by a strike to the solar plexus that left him gasping on the floor. "Get up." Henry's voice was ice. "You're so tough when it comes to threatening children. Let's see how tough you are with someone who can fight back." John struggled to his feet, spitting blood. "You're dead. You hear me? When Davies finds out, Davies already knows." Henry produced a small recording device. Every conversation you and Maya had at the Red Door. Every threat. Every admission of stealing from his organization. Right now, he's getting a very interesting email about his trusted lieutenant. The last remnants of color drained from John's face. No, you're lying. The same way you lied about having his approval for your side operations? For using his connections to cover up your assault on my daughter." Henry advanced slowly. "The same way Maya lied about helping you skim money, thinking you'd take care of her?" "Maya?" John laughed, a wet, desperate sound. "That bitch has been playing both of us. She's been siphoning money for months, setting up her escape. She never cared about either of us." "I know." Henry's smile was predatory. "That's why she's at the Red Door right now, creating her alibi for when they find you." Real fear bloomed in John's eyes. "Find me? In your warehouse, with evidence of your embezzlement, with records of your attacks on innocent people, with proof that you've been working against Davies' interests." Henry gestured at the office around them. "Maybe you got careless. Maybe someone found out and confronted you. Maybe you decided to run, but something went wrong." John made one last desperate lunge for where his gun had fallen. Henry's response was immediate and final, a combination of strikes learned in close-quarters combat training that left the larger man unconscious on the floor, working quickly. Henry placed the fabricated evidence. Maya's fingerprints were already in place from her previous visits. The confession note in her handwriting, carefully forged from documents Tom had acquired, would point investigators in specific directions. When he finished, he made the anonymous call to the police, disguising his voice as he reported suspicious activity at the warehouse. Then he called Tom. "It's done. Start the clock." "Clean?" Tom asked. "Clean. Evidence is placed. Her fingerprints are fresh from yesterday's visit. The note will look like she wrote it in panic after things went wrong. And the money trail? Davies' accountant confirmed the transfers are untraceable. By morning, everyone will think John tried to run with Maya's help, but something went wrong. A tragic accident during a lover's quarrel. Copy that. I've got eyes on Maya at the club. She's playing her part perfectly, making sure everyone sees her there, acting normal." Henry smiled coldly. She always did think she was smarter than everyone else. Time she learned different. As he melted away into the shadows, Henry thought about Lily, safe with the Coopers. Everything he'd done, every calculated move, every careful manipulation had been for her, to ensure she would never have to look over her shoulder again, in combat. He'd learned that victory sometimes required sacrifice. But this hadn't been a sacrifice. This had been justice. Detective Rachel Martinez arrived at the Red Door just as Maya was ordering her fourth martini. The detective noted how Maya's hands trembled slightly as she lifted the glass, how her carefully maintained composure showed hairline cracks around the edges. "Mrs. Mitchell." Martinez approached the bar, her badge glinting under the low lights. "I need you to come with me." Maya's eyes widened with practiced innocence. "Is something wrong, detective?" "There's been an incident at your friend Mr. Marshall's warehouse." Martinez kept her voice neutral, watching Maya's reaction. "We need to ask you some questions." "John." Maya's hand flew to her throat in a gesture that might have seemed genuine to someone who hadn't interviewed thousands of suspects. "But I've been here all evening. Ask anyone." "We will." Martinez nodded to her partner, who was already talking to the bartender. "Right now, I need you to come downtown." At the precinct, Maya sat in the interview room, her designer dress out of place against the stark institutional furniture. Detective Martinez let her wait, building pressure through silence, a technique Henry had suggested when he'd, reluctantly, given his statement hours earlier. "Start at the beginning," Martinez said when she finally entered, placing a file on the table. "How long have you known John Marshall?" "We're just friends," Maya replied automatically. "Business associates, really. Through my work at the investment firm. Associates who spent 3 nights a week at the Golden Gate Hotel." Martinez slid photographs across the table, surveillance shots from the hotel security cameras. "Associates who made large cash transfers to offshore accounts?" Color drained from Maya's face. "I can explain." "Please do. Explain the transfers. The hotel meetings. The threatening text to your daughter when she caught you together." "Lily?" Maya's mask slipped slightly. "What does she have to do with this?" "She gave us a very detailed statement about walking in on you and Mr. Marshall. About what happened afterward." Martinez's voice hardened. "About the bruises?" "She's lying. She's just angry because—" Maya stopped, realizing too late what she'd revealed. "Because what, Mrs. Mitchell? Because she caught you with your lover? Because he assaulted her and you helped cover it up? I want a lawyer." "Probably wise." Martinez opened the file. "Especially given what we found at the warehouse. Want to explain this?" She slid out a handwritten note, the one Henry had carefully prepared using Maya's stolen stationery and forged handwriting. Maya's eyes widened as she read. "John Davies knows about the money. About everything. We need to move fast. Meet me at the warehouse tonight. Bring the account documents. If you try to run without me, I'll tell Davies everything. That don't make me regret choosing you over my family. That's not I didn't." Maya's composure cracked further. "This is a forgery. Our handwriting expert disagrees. As do your fingerprints all over the office. As does the security footage of you entering the warehouse yesterday afternoon." Maya's lawyer arrived, then a sharp-suited man who immediately tried to end the interview. But the evidence kept mounting. Bank records showed systematic transfers to accounts that had been emptied hours before John's death. Hotel security footage showed Maya and John plotting together. And most damning of all, Davies' organization had provided documentation of John's embezzlement, along with Maya's involvement. Henry watched it all unfold from a careful distance, playing the role of the concerned but estranged husband. He gave statements about Maya's recent strange behavior, about finding out about the affair, about taking Lily to a hotel for her safety. "I just can't believe it," he told Detective Martinez, his performance perfect. "I knew about the affair, but murder? Maya's manipulative, but I never thought." "People surprise you," Martinez replied, studying him. "Especially when money's involved. The evidence suggests she helped Marshall embezzle millions, then eliminated him when he threatened to expose her." "What about Lily? Will she have to testify?" "No need. We have enough without putting her through that. The DA's office is confident Mrs. Mitchell's looking at 20 to life." The trial was swift and devastating. Maya's carefully crafted image crumbled under the weight of evidence. Her own testimony did more harm than good. Her attempts to shift blame only highlighted her lack of remorse. Tom sat beside Henry in the courtroom as the verdict was read. "Guilty on all counts." Maya's scream echoed through the courtroom. "This is a lie. Henry, tell them what really happened." But Henry only watched, his face impassive, as they led her away. In her designer suit and handcuffs, she looked smaller somehow, less substantial, as if her true nature was finally visible to everyone. "You okay?" Tom asked quietly as they left the courthouse. "I'm thinking about Lily." Henry's voice was distant. About how Maya stood there and watched while he hurt her. About how she was going to let it happen again. "She'll never hurt anyone again." "No," Henry agreed. "She won't." Later that night, he sat with Lily in their new apartment, helping her with homework. She'd been doing better since Maya's arrest, sleeping through the night, smiling more easily. "Dad?" She looked up from her math book. "Is Mom really going to be in prison forever?" "For a very long time." Henry chose his words carefully. "She made choices, sweetheart. Bad choices that hurt people. Now she has to face the consequences. Like when you said, sometimes the hardest battle is living with what you've done." Henry smiled, remembering that conversation from his deployment days. "Exactly like that. Your mother chose John over you. Chose money over family. Those kinds of choices have consequences. I used to think it was my fault. Lily's voice was small. For telling you what happened. Listen to me. Henry turned her to face him. Nothing about this was your fault. You did exactly right telling me the truth. Sometimes people we love turn out to be different than we thought. Doesn't mean we did anything wrong. Are you really sure she can't hurt us anymore? Absolutely sure. Henry pulled her close. The evidence is ironclad. Every transfer, every meeting, every threat at all points to her eliminating John to cover her crimes. No one will ever be able to prove different. As Lily worked on her homework, Henry's phone buzzed with a text from Tom. Davy's organization is satisfied. Case closed at their end. You're clear? Henry deleted the message. Everything had worked exactly as planned. Maya's own patterns of deception, her careful documentation of her affair with John, her attempts to create alibis, all of it had been turned against her. She played her part perfectly, never realizing she was acting in a script he'd written. The sun was setting outside their new apartment, casting long shadows across the city. But for the first time since coming home, the shadows didn't feel threatening. They felt like justice. The prison visiting room was a study in institutional gray. Its reinforced glass barrier, a physical representation of the walls Maya had built between herself and her family. 3 weeks into her life sentence, the orange jumpsuit had already begun to erase her carefully maintained image. Her designer clothes and perfect makeup were replaced by institutional plainness and dark circles under her eyes. Henry sat across from her, noting how prison had stripped away her artifice. The manipulative mask she'd worn for so long was cracking, revealing the desperation beneath. He picked up the visitor's phone, watching her do the same with trembling hands. Why? Maya demanded immediately, her voice brittle. Why did you do this to me? You know why? Henry's voice remained calm, almost gentle, the same tone he'd used when explaining difficult truths to Lily. You threatened our daughter. You chose him over her safety. It wasn't like that. Maya's composure cracked, her voice rising until a guard glanced their way. John was going to take care of us. Give us the life we deserved. The life you deserved. Henry leaned forward, his eyes hard. You let him assault our 12-year-old daughter. You threatened her to keep your secret. And when I came home, you were going to let him hurt her again. I didn't. That's not. I know everything, Maya. Every plan, every scheme, every dollar you stole, thinking you could run away with him. Henry's smile was cold. But you want to know the funny part? He was playing you too. Those overseas accounts you thought were your escape fund? He'd already emptied them. Maya's face went pale. No, you're lying. The same way you lied about protecting Lily, about loving our family, about everything. Henry's voice took on an edge. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? That I wouldn't notice the bruises on our daughter's face? It was one time. She shouldn't have been there. Stop. Henry's command cut through her excuses. You don't get to justify it. Not now. Not ever. You stood there and watched him hurt her. Then you threatened her to protect him. Maya's hands pressed against the glass. Henry, please. You don't understand. I was trapped. John said he would. Would what? Hurt you? Like he hurt Lily. Henry's laugh was without humor. You weren't trapped, Maya. You were greedy. You wanted his money, his lifestyle. You didn't care who got hurt along the way. That's not true. I loved him, the money, because it certainly wasn't your family. Henry pulled out a small notebook, her notebook, the one he'd found in her dresser. Your own words, Maya. Every transaction, every meeting, every plan to take the money and run, leaving Lily behind. Maya stared at the notebook, recognition dawning in her eyes. Where did you get that? The same place I got everything else. You were so careful documenting your affair, your financial schemes. So proud of manipulating everyone. Henry's smile was predatory, never realizing you were building the perfect case against yourself. Understanding began to dawn on Maya's face. You planned this. All of it. I learned a lot in the military, Maya. About patience. About strategy. About how to make the enemy defeat themselves. The warehouse. Maya's voice was barely a whisper. The evidence. Perfect, wasn't it? Your fingerprints, your handwriting, your documented connection to John's criminal activities. Even Davy's organization believes you eliminated John to cover your tracks. I'll tell them the truth. Maya's voice rose desperately. I'll tell them what you did. Who will believe you? The unfaithful wife who helped her lover assault a child? Who stole money and planned to abandon her family? Henry shook his head. Every piece of evidence points to you. Every witness confirms your guilt. You're exactly where you deserve to be. Henry, please. Maya's mask shattered completely, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. I'll do anything. Like you said sorry to Lily? After letting John hit her? Henry stood, his voice turning to ice. You're going to spend a long time in here, Maya. Years to think about your choices. About how you chose money over your daughter's safety. About how your greed destroyed everything. You can't leave me here. I'm still her mother. No. Henry's voice was final. You lost the right to call yourself that the moment you chose him over her. Goodbye, Maya. He hung up the phone and turned away, ignoring her pounding on the glass, her screams muffled by the barrier. The guard nodded to him as he left, a knowing look between men who understood justice outside the prison. Lily was waiting in the car with Mrs. Cooper. The spring sun caught her face as she looked up, and Henry saw something there he hadn't seen in months. Peace. Is it really over? She asked quietly as he got in. Yes, sweetheart. He started the engine. It's over. Your mother can never hurt you again. What happens now? Now we start fresh. Henry pulled out onto the highway, leaving the prison behind. I've got a new job offer. Different city, better opportunities. How do you feel about learning to surf? Lily's eyes lit up. Really? Like in California? San Diego. Henry smiled. Tom's got a security consulting firm there. Says they need someone with my experience. Good schools in the area, too. Can Mr. Waddles learn to surf, too? Henry laughed a real laugh, the kind he hadn't experienced since before his deployment. We'll get him his own little surfboard. As they drove, Henry glanced in the rearview mirror. Maya would spend the next 20 years minimum behind bars, branded as a murderer and a thief. John's death would be a warning to others who thought themselves above consequences. And his daughter was safe. Dad. Lily's voice was thoughtful. Remember when you said sometimes the hardest battles aren't the ones we fight with weapons? I remember. Is that what you did? Fight a different kind of battle? Henry reached over and squeezed her hand. Everything I did was to protect you. Sometimes protecting the people we love means making hard choices. Like chess. Lily smiled slightly. Mr. Cooper says sometimes you have to sacrifice pieces to win the game. Something like that. But you weren't a piece to be sacrificed, sweetheart. You were the one I was fighting to protect. They drove on as the sun painted the sky in shades of promise. Ahead lay San Diego, new opportunities, a chance to heal. Behind them, in a prison cell, Maya was learning the true cost of her choices. Can we get a house near the beach? Lily asked, her voice full of hope for the first time in months. We can look. Henry smiled. Maybe one with a big yard, room for a garden. And no more bad memories? No more bad memories, Henry promised. Just new ones. Better ones. The highway stretched before them, leading away from the shadows and into the light. Sometimes, Henry knew, the darkest actions led to the brightest futures. And as he drove toward their new life, with his daughter safe beside him, he knew he would never regret any of in combat. He learned that victory sometimes required difficult choices. But protecting his child? That had been the easiest choice of all. Cole Maddox's home office had always been his sanctuary. A place where the polished mahogany desk, carefully organized files, and wall of professional achievements reflected the order he'd built his life around. But tonight, that order was crumbling as he stared at the stack of credit card statements spread before him. Each page another crack in the foundation of trust he'd spent decades building. The setting sun painted amber streaks across his desk, highlighting numbers that refused to make sense. Or rather, made too much sense once he knew where to look. His fingers drummed against the wooden surface, a nervous habit he'd picked up during 23 years of marriage to Serena. Just look at the patterns, he muttered, reaching for his reading glasses. Follow the money. His daughter had always been responsible with money until recently. The past few months had seen a steady stream of requests for help. each accompanied by a seemingly plausible explanation. School supplies, textbook fees, an unexpected car repair. But as he scrutinized the statements, patterns emerged that set off warning bells in his mind. The phone on his desk buzzed, illuminating with a familiar name. Another text from Ivy. Dad, hate to ask, but I need help with a course fee. $500. Can you transfer it tonight? It's kind of urgent. Cole leaned back in his chair, the leather creaking softly as he exhaled. The request was eerily similar to ones he'd received all month, already totaling $2,000. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, muscle memory ready to type his usual response. That's what fathers did, right? They provided. They supported. They trusted. But something made him hesitate. He picked up one of the statements again, this time focusing on a series of charges from local restaurants. The dates and times formed a pattern he couldn't ignore. Tuesday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. at La Maison downtown. Thursday, 3:15 p.m. at the Capitol Grill. When Ivy was supposed to be in advanced economics and business law respectively. The sound of heels clicking on hardwood drew his attention to the doorway. Serena stood there, a vision in her charcoal business suit, dark hair falling in elegant waves that framed her face. Her lips curved into that same smile that had captured his heart all those years ago at law school. "Everything okay, honey?" she asked, leaning against the doorframe. "You've been up here for hours." Cole carefully kept his expression neutral as he gestured to the papers. "Just looking over some financials. Ivy's been asking for more help lately. I'm a bit concerned." Something flickered across Serena's face, so brief he almost missed it. A micro-expression that didn't match her concerned mother act. Fear. She crossed the room. Her perfume was that new? Preceding her as she placed a manicured hand on his shoulder. "She's just going through a rough patch," she said, her voice carrying that lawyer's confidence he'd once admired. "You know how expensive college is these days. Between books, fees, living expenses." "Interesting you should mention expenses," Cole said, shuffling through the statements. "Some of these charges seem unusual for a college student." Her hand tightened almost imperceptibly on his shoulder. "Oh." La Maison, the Capitol Grill, the Four Seasons downtown. He looked up at her. "Pretty high-end for study sessions, don't you think?" "She probably went out with friends," Serena said quickly. Too quickly. You know how kids are these days, always trying to impress each other on social media. During her class times? A pause. Brief, but telling. "I'm thinking of sitting down with her," he continued, watching Serena carefully. "Go through her spending, help her create a budget. Maybe even meet some of these friends she's spending so much time with." The hand on his shoulder grew tense. "Oh, I wouldn't worry too much. She's an adult now. We need to let her figure these things out on her own." Just then, Serena's phone chimed. She pulled it from her pocket, glanced at the screen, and quickly tucked it away. But not before Cole caught a glimpse of the name. Graham. "Work emails," she said, already backing toward the door. "You know how it is, clients never sleep. Don't stay up too late worrying about this." After she left, Cole turned back to the statements with renewed purpose. He pulled up his banking app, reviewing recent transfers to Ivy's account. The amounts varied, but they were regular. Too regular. Like clockwork, every 2 weeks, she needed help with something. He opened his laptop and began a deeper dive. Credit card statements, bank transfers, everything he could access as the account holder. Hours ticked by as he created a spreadsheet, mapping out patterns, cross-referencing dates and times. The picture that emerged made his stomach turn. At first glance, the expenses looked legitimate. But when he started categorizing them, red flags appeared everywhere. Restaurant charges for 2 at high-end establishments when Ivy claimed to be studying. Hotel charges disguised as school fees. Cash withdrawals that coincided with supposed textbook purchases. Then he spotted it, a name that made his blood run cold. Graham Slater. He'd heard Serena mention that name before, a colleague from her firm. New partner. Rising star. Why was his name showing up on Ivy's expenses? Cole's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling up more records. There it was again, and again. Graham Slater's name, woven through the financial web like a poison thread. "No," he whispered, pushing back from the desk. "No, no, no. He clicked through family photos on his phone, searching for clues he might have missed. Last month's family dinner, Serena smiling, her arm around him, Ivy beaming at the camera. The perfect family portrait. But now he saw what he'd missed. The way Serena's smile didn't quite reach her eyes. How Ivy's gaze slid away from the camera. The careful distance between mother and daughter, sharing a secret. His phone buzzed again. Dad? About that transfer? The fee is due tonight. Cole's hands shook as he set the phone down without replying. The betrayal cut deep enough from Serena, but Ivy? His little girl? All those memories flooded his mind. Teaching her to ride a bike in the park, holding her through her first heartbreak, staying up late helping her study for exams, walking her through her first college applications. While he'd been building their future, they'd been systematically betraying him. The next morning, Cole maintained his routine with mechanical precision. He showered, dressed in his best suit, kissed Serena goodbye as she headed to the office. Each gesture felt hollow. Each word of affection from her lips now carried the bitter taste of lies. Dinner tonight? She asked, adjusting his tie like she had thousands of mornings before. I might have to work late, but I should be home by 7. Working late. With Graham? Sure, he said, forcing a smile. I'll pick up something from that Italian place you like. You're the best, she said, kissing his cheek. Love you. The words turned his stomach. At work, he made 3 crucial calls. First, to his bank. This is Cole Maddox. I need to make some changes to my accounts. Yes, I want to remove all secondary access. No, don't notify the other cardholders. Yes, I understand this is unusual. I take full responsibility. Second, to his lawyer, Richard Chun. Rich, I need to meet. Today. No, it can't wait. Yes, it's about Serena. I have evidence. I need everything ready before she knows what's happening. Third, to a private investigator recommended by Richard. I need surveillance on 2 people. Yes, I have their schedules. I want everything. Photos, video, audio, if possible. Money is no object. By lunch, the wheels were in motion. All of Ivy's credit cards were quietly canceled. Access to the family accounts would be restricted by end of day. The PI would begin gathering concrete evidence of the affair. His phone lit up with panicked texts from Ivy. Dad, my card just got declined. Is something wrong with the account? He stared at the message, remembering all the time she called him in tears over much smaller problems. How he'd always dropped everything to help her. Now each cry for help felt like another twist of the knife. Must be a system error, he typed back. I'll look into it. The lie felt bitter, but appropriate. They'd taught him how this game was played. That evening, Ivy showed up at the house unannounced. Cole watched from his office as she rushed past, heading straight to find Serena in the kitchen. Their hushed voices carried up the stairs urgent, worried tones that confirmed everything he'd pieced together. Mom, all the cards are declined. Ivy's voice trembled. He's going to figure it out. Lower your voice, Serena hissed. Your father's upstairs. I don't care. This is serious. What if he traces the payments to Graham? He won't. We've been careful. Just give me time to figure something out. I'll talk to Graham tomorrow. And what am I supposed to do until then? I have bills due. Use cash. I'll get you some tomorrow. Just stay calm and act normal. Cole's hands clenched in a fist as he listened to them plot. Every word was another betrayal. Another confirmation that the 2 people he trusted most had turned against him. He thought about storming downstairs, confronting them both. But no, this required a cooler head. They played him for a fool for months, maybe longer. Now it was his turn to play the game. He waited until he heard Ivy leave before heading downstairs. Serena was in the kitchen, preparing dinner as if nothing had happened. As if she hadn't just been conspiring with their daughter to hide her infidelity. Everything okay? He asked, keeping his voice casual. I thought I heard Ivy. Serena startled slightly, nearly dropping the knife she was using to chop vegetables. Oh yes, she said, not meeting his eyes. She just stopped by to borrow some books for class. Books? He leaned against the counter, watching her hands shake slightly. Anything specific? Just, course materials. Business law stuff. She turned away, pretending to check something in the oven. How was your day? Interesting, he said, noting how she tensed at the word. I've been thinking about taking you away for a weekend. Maybe to that hotel downtown you like so much. The Four Seasons? The knife paused mid-chop. The same hotel that had shown up multiple times on Ivy's credit card statements. Oh, I don't know if I can get away from work right now, Serena stammered. Big case coming up. Graham and the team, we're all really busy. Graham? Cole kept his tone light. That's the new partner, right? You've mentioned him before. Yes, he joined last year. She turned away, fussing with dishes in the sink. Nothing special. Just another colleague. She was sleeping with while their daughter helped cover her tracks. Maybe I'll stop by your office tomorrow, he suggested. We could do lunch. I haven't seen the new office setup since the renovation. The sound of a plate slipping and clattering in the sink was answer enough. No, Serena said quickly, then forced a laugh. It's sweet of you to offer, but tomorrow is packed with meetings. Rain check. Sure, Cole said, turning to leave the kitchen. Rain check. In his office, he pulled up the PI's preliminary report. Graham Slater, 45, divorced. Recently made partner at Serena's firm. Multiple witness accounts placed them together outside of work hours. Hotel records, restaurant receipts, all matching perfectly with the trail of breadcrumbs in Ivy's expenses. His phone buzzed with another text from Ivy. Dad, please. I really need help with these payments. Can we talk? Please? He thought about all the times he'd dropped everything to help her, how he'd always prided himself on being there when she needed him. Now he knew what she really needed: money to help her mother maintain her affair. Cole typed back a simple response, no. Then he began making plans. They wanted to play games with his trust? Fine. But he would make damn sure they understood the cost of their deception. Over the next few days, Cole meticulously documented everything. Every charge, every lie, every piece of evidence that showed how his wife and daughter had conspired against him. He recorded their whispered conversations when they thought he couldn't hear. He noted every time Serena mentioned working late with the team, every time Ivy made up an excuse for needing money. The facade began to crack under the financial pressure. Ivy's desperate texts became more frequent. Dad, my rent is due. Please, I can't afford my textbooks. Just talk to me, please. Serena grew distracted, checking her phone constantly. Both of them watched him with worried eyes, trying to gauge if he suspected anything. He caught them whispering in corners, their conversation stopping abruptly when he entered a room. He played his part perfectly. Concerned father, loving husband, all while systematically dismantling the financial support they'd taken for granted. One evening, about a week after discovering the truth, Cole sat in his office reviewing the final confirmations from his lawyer. Everything was in place, all accounts secured, evidence documented, divorce papers ready. A soft knock at his door made him look up. Ivy stood there, tears streaming down her face. Daddy, can we talk? The childhood name struck him like a physical blow. How long had it been since she called him that? Now here she was playing the daddy's girl card when she needed something. Come in, he said, his voice carefully neutral. She perched on the edge of the chair across from his desk, looking small and vulnerable, just like she had as a child when she'd done something wrong and knew she was about to be caught. I know you canceled the cards, she said quietly, and froze my access to the accounts. Yes. Why? Cole leaned back, studying his daughter's face. The face he'd loved unconditionally for 20 years. The face that had lied to him countless times. I think you know why, Ivy. She paled slightly, but held his gaze. Dad, please. Whatever you think is going on, stop. His voice cut through her attempted deception like a blade. No more lies. No more games. I know everything. Everything. Graham Slater. The hotels. The restaurants. How you've been helping your mother hide her affair. All of it. Ivy's facade crumbled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Daddy, I can explain. Explain what? His voice remained deadly calm. Explain how you helped your mother betray me. How you took money from me, money I worked hard to earn, and used it to help her deceive me. She's my mother, Ivy whispered. She needed my help, and I'm your father. The father who has supported you, loved you, given you everything you ever needed. And this is how you repay that love? By helping destroy our family? I didn't want to, she sobbed. She came to me. She said she was unhappy. She said if I didn't help her, she manipulated you? Cole's laugh held no warmth. You're 20 years old, Ivy. An adult. You made an adult decision to betray me. Don't try to play the victim now. Please. She reached across the desk, trying to take his hand. He pulled back, watching her flinch at the rejection. I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. You could have told me the truth. You could have been loyal to the parent who's never betrayed you. Instead, you chose to be complicit in your mother's adultery. What's going to happen now? She asked, her voice small. Now. Cole's smile was cold. Now you get to experience the consequences of your choices. No more financial support. No more daddy's money to fund your mother's infidelity. You're an adult, Ivy. You made an adult decision to betray me. Now you can face adult consequences. But my tuition, my rent, not my problem anymore. He turned back to his computer, dismissing her. You chose your side in this. Live with it. Dad, please. Get out. Ivy sat there for a moment longer, crying silently. When she realized no comfort would be forthcoming, she stumbled to her feet and fled the office. Cole listened to her footsteps as she ran down the stairs. Heard the front door slam. A car engine started and faded into the distance. A few minutes later, Serena's voice called up from below. Cole, is everything all right? I just got a hysterical call from Ivy. He didn't respond. Let her worry. Let her wonder. Through his office window, he watched Serena pace in the backyard, phone pressed to her ear. Her free hand gesticulated wildly as she spoke in hushed but urgent tones. Even from this distance, he could read the panic in her body language. His computer chimed with a new email from the PI. More photos. More evidence. He opened the attachment and felt his jaw clench. There they were, Serena and Graham, leaving a restaurant together. His hand on the small of her back. Her leaning into him, laughing at something he'd said. The timestamp showed yesterday afternoon, during one of her supposed client meetings. Another photo, them entering the Four Seasons. The same hotel that had appeared so many times on Ivy's credit card statements. The same hotel where he and Serena had celebrated their 20th anniversary just last year. His phone buzzed with a text from Serena, coming up to talk. We need to discuss Ivy. Cole closed the photos and pulled up his email. He had 2 draft messages prepared for exactly this moment. One to his lawyer, giving the green light to proceed with everything they discussed. Another to the PI, authorizing the release of evidence to specific parties. He heard Serena's footsteps on the stairs. Quick, determined clicks of her heels. The sound of a woman who thought she was still in control of the situation. Without hesitation, he sent both emails. Cole. Serena appeared in the doorway, her perfect composure slightly frayed around the edges. What's going on? Ivy's absolutely distraught. He turned to face her, studying the woman he'd loved for over 2 decades. The mother of his child. The architect of his betrayal. Interesting that you'd rush up here about Ivy, he said calmly, but you haven't once asked about the credit cards or the accounts. She froze, her hand tightening on the doorframe. What do you mean? The cards that were declined, the accounts that were frozen, the financial support that's been terminated. He leaned back in his chair. Funny how you knew about all that without me telling you. Ivy mentioned, stop lying, Serena. His voice was soft, but carried the weight of steel. You're not in a courtroom now. This isn't a case you can win with clever arguments. Color drained from her face. Cole, whatever you think, the Four Seasons yesterday at 2:30 p.m., you and Graham seemed very comfortable together. Tell me, was that a client meeting too? She took a step back, her designer heel catching on the carpet. You had me followed? I had the truth followed. It led straight to you, and to our daughter, who you corrupted into helping hide your affair. It's not what you think. Really? He pulled up the spreadsheet he'd created. Should we go through it? Every hotel visit? Every romantic dinner? Every lie you told me while our daughter helped cover your tracks? Or should we talk about how you used my money I earned working 60-hour weeks to finance your infidelity? Serena's lawyer mask cracked completely. Please let me explain. No. Cole stood, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I'm done with explanations. Done with lies. Done with both of you. Both of us? Cole, leave Ivy out of this. She was just trying to help her mother destroy her other. To assist in ripping apart her family? Don't try to protect her now. She made her choice. Tears welled in Serena's eyes. Real ones this time, not the carefully calculated drops she used to win over juries. What are you going to do? I've already done it. He gestured to his computer. The divorce papers have been filed. Evidence has been sent to your firm's ethics board. Everything you and Graham tried to hide is about to become very, very public. You can't. I can. I did. You taught me well, Serena. You showed me exactly how to play this game. The only difference is I'm better at it. She staggered back as the full impact of his words hit her. This will ruin my career. Yes. And Ivy will learn that actions have consequences. Just like her mother. Serena's knees buckled, and she grabbed the door frame for support. Please, Cole. We can work this out. Go to counseling. Start over. He walked to the window, looking out at the life they'd built together. The manicured lawn, the garden she'd loved, the tree house he'd built for Ivy when she was 7. All of it built on a foundation of lies. There's nothing to work out, he said without turning around. Nothing to save. You and Ivy killed everything I thought we had. Now you both get to live with that decision. Cole, get out of my office, Serena. Go call Graham. Tell him how your perfect plan fell apart. Tell him how you lost everything trying to have it all. He heard her choked sob, followed by the rapid click of heels retreating down the hallway. A few minutes later, the front door opened and closed. A car engine roared to life, tires squealing on pavement as she fled. Cole sat back down at his desk, pulling up his email again. Messages were already coming in from his lawyer, confirming that everything was proceeding as planned. The PI had delivered the evidence packages. The wheels of destruction were in motion. His phone lit up with texts from both Serena and Ivy. Please don't do this. We can fix this. I'm sorry. Daddy, please. He turned off the phone without responding. They'd had their chances, made their choices. Now they would face the consequences. The sun had set completely now, leaving his office in shadows. But for the first time since discovering their betrayal, Cole felt clear, focused. The pain was still there, a deep ache in his chest where trust used to live. But it was accompanied by something else now. Purpose. They wanted to play games with his trust? Fine. But he would make damn sure they understood the cost of deception. The 43rd floor of Seattle's Columbia Center offered a view that matched Richard Chin's legal reputation: expansive, impressive, and extremely exclusive. Cole stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows of his lawyer's corner office, watching morning fog curl around neighboring skyscrapers while Richard reviewed the latest surveillance reports. Your PI doesn't miss anything, Richard said, adjusting his wire-rimmed glasses as he spread photos across his mahogany desk. Look at this: timestamps, locations. I even got audio in some cases. Graham and Serena have gotten sloppy. Cole turned from the window, his reflection ghosting against the city backdrop. They think they're untouchable, that I'm too blind or too weak to act. Speaking of acting, Richard held up a particular photo. Here they are at Canlis last night, during what your wife claimed was a late client meeting. Cole took the photo, his jaw tightening. Serena and Graham sat in a corner booth, his hand covering hers on the white tablecloth. Her wedding ring caught the restaurant's soft lighting. She didn't even bother to take it off, Cole said, his voice dangerously quiet. The ring I gave her, 23 years, and she wears it to dinner with him. There's more. Richard pulled out his tablet. Security footage from the Four Seasons lobby. Watch. The video showed Serena and Graham entering the hotel, his hand on the small of her back. She was laughing at something he'd said, leaning into him with casual intimacy. That's from Tuesday, Richard said. According to her firm's billing records, she was in depositions all afternoon. Cole's laugh held no humor. Depositions. Is that what they're calling it now? The evidence is overwhelming, Cole. But what's your endgame here? Standard divorce proceedings would be straightforward enough. I don't want straightforward. Cole placed the photo back on the desk with deliberate care. I want nuclear. Richard leaned back in his chair, studying his client. Define nuclear. I want everything they've built to burn. Their careers, their reputations, their perfect little world, all of it. Even Ivy's part in it. Especially Ivy's part. Cole pulled out his phone, showing Richard a recent text from his daughter. Dad, Mom's crying herself to sleep. Please talk to us. We can still fix this. Richard adjusted his glasses. She's still trying to play mediator? They both are. Listen to this voicemail Serena left yesterday. He played the message. Cole, please. I know I made a terrible mistake. But think about our family, about Ivy. 23 years of marriage has to mean something. Call me back. We can work through this. Sounds rehearsed, Richard observed. Everything about her is rehearsed. But here's the interesting part. Cole pulled out another document. While she was leaving that message, begging for reconciliation, she was meeting with divorce attorney Patricia Morrison. My PI got photos of her leaving the office. Richard's eyebrows shot up. Morrison? She's known for aggressive settlements. Rarely leaves anything for the other spouse. Exactly. Serena's playing both sides, trying to keep me calm while she prepares for war. Cole's smile was cold. But I'm better at war than she thinks. Walk me through what you want. Step by step, Cole began pacing the office, his expensive shoes silent on the thick carpet. First phase is already done, financial isolation. I've frozen accounts, canceled cards, restricted access. They're feeling the squeeze. How are they responding? Ivy called me 12 times yesterday about her rent. Serena tried to access our investment accounts, but found herself locked out. Graham. Cole's smile widened slightly. Graham's discovering that five-star hotels expect actual payment. And phase 2. Reputation destruction. Cole stopped pacing, turning to face Richard. I want everything public. The affair, the financial manipulation, Ivy's role in covering it up. I want their perfect facade shattered in front of everyone who matters to them. Richard opened another folder. Timing is crucial for maximum impact. When do you want to move? The Morrison Foundation Gala is next week. Serena's firm is hosting. All the partners will be there, including Graham, along with half of Seattle's legal community. Very public venue. Richard made some notes. Any specific strategy? I've prepared a presentation. Photos, receipts, text messages, everything documenting their betrayal. I want it displayed on every screen in that ballroom. That's... Richard paused. Nuclear. That's the point. Cole's voice was ice. I want everyone to see exactly who they are. Every colleague, every friend, every client. I want their carefully constructed lies to collapse in front of everyone they've fooled. The intercom buzzed. Richard's secretary's voice came through. Mr. Chun, Serena Maddox is here. She's demanding to speak with you. Cole and Richard exchanged looks. Perfect timing, Cole said softly. Let's see how the great lawyer handles confrontation. Send her in, Richard called out. The heavy oak door burst open. Serena strode in, her Louboutins clicking against the hardwood floor where the carpet ended. She wore a cream-colored Chanel suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary, but stress had left its mark. Dark circles shadowed her eyes, partially concealed by expensive makeup. Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched her designer handbag. How dare you, she spat at Richard. 20 years you've been our family lawyer. 20 years of trust, and this is how you repay it. Mrs. Maddox, Richard replied calmly, I represent Cole's interests. Given the circumstances... The circumstances? She whirled to face Cole, her voice rising. Is that what we're calling your vindictive crusade? Cole met her gaze steadily. Interesting choice of words from someone who's been sleeping with her colleague while her daughter plays lookout. Don't you dare bring Ivy into this. You brought her into it. Cole shot back, his voice deadly quiet. You turned our daughter into your accomplice. Was it your idea or hers to use my money to fund your hotel meetings with Graham? Color flooded Serena's cheeks. You have no proof. Actually, Richard interrupted, sliding a thick folder across his desk. We have extensive proof. Would you like to start with the hotel receipts? The restaurant bills? Or perhaps the text messages between you and Graham coordinating your business meetings? Serena's hands shook as she opened the folder. Her face went pale as she flipped through page after page of documented betrayal. How did you? I'm thorough, Cole said, stepping closer. Unlike you and Graham. Sloppy, really. Using the same hotels. Meeting during office hours. Having our daughter cover your tracks with my money. Cole, please. Serena's lawyer mask cracked, revealing raw fear beneath. Whatever you're planning, you'll find out soon enough. He turned to Richard. Are we done here? One more thing. Richard pulled out another document bound in blue legal paper. Serena, this is a courtesy copy of the divorce filing. You'll be formally served tomorrow at your office. She snatched the papers, her legal training kicking in as she scanned the contents. Her face shifted from fear to outrage. These terms are ridiculous. She slammed the papers down. No judge would ever. A judge might be very interested in how you use company time and resources to conduct your affair, Cole interrupted. Not to mention the creative billing to clients while you were otherwise occupied. You wouldn't dare expose that. It would destroy my career. Now you're getting it. Cole moved to the door. Oh, and Serena? Tell Graham I said hello. You'll both be hearing from the ethics board soon. Cole. Her voice cracked. Everything we built 23 years. You destroyed it. He turned back, his eyes cold. Every lie, every betrayal, every time you involved our daughter in your deception. You did this. Now you get to live with the consequences. He left her standing there, clutching the divorce papers like a lifeline. Her perfect composure shattered. Later that evening, Cole sat in his home office, reviewing the final preparations for the gala exposure. His phone buzzed with a text from Graham Slater himself. We need to talk. Man to man. This doesn't have to get ugly. Cole laughed darkly and typed back, it got ugly the moment you started sleeping with my wife. Another buzz, think about what you're doing. This won't just hurt Serena. Think about your daughter. Should have thought about that before you helped destroy my family. Graham, let's meet. Tomorrow. I can explain everything. Cole, nothing to explain. But stay tuned. Things are about to get very interesting. The doorbell rang. Cole checked his security camera feed. Ivy stood on the porch, hugging herself against the evening chill. She'd lost weight, her designer clothes hanging loose on her frame. He buzzed the intercom. Go home, Ivy. Dad, please. Her voice cracked. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Why? So you can feed information back to your mother? No. I need to understand what you're planning. People are scared. Good, Dad. Against his better judgment, he buzzed her in. She appeared in his office doorway, eyes red from crying, looking younger than her 20 years. You look terrible, he observed. Everything's falling apart. She stepped into the office uninvited. Mom can't sleep. Graham's threatening to end things. The partners at the firm are asking questions about billing irregularities. Sounds like karma to me. Is that what this is about? Revenge? Cole stood slowly. No, Ivy. This is about consequences. Actions have them. It's time you both learned that. By destroying Mom's career, her reputation, she destroyed her own reputation the moment she started sleeping with Graham. You just helped hide it. She was unhappy. Ivy's voice rose. She felt trapped, ignored. Then she could have talked to me. Cole's fist slammed onto his desk. She could have asked for counseling, for changes, for a divorce. Instead, she chose to lie, to cheat, to manipulate our daughter into helping her deceive me. I didn't want to help her. Tears spilled down Ivy's cheeks. She said if I didn't, she'd leave. She said you'd never forgive her, that you'd destroy everything. And look what happened anyway. Cole's laugh was harsh. She manipulated you, just like she manipulated me. The difference is you chose to be her accomplice. The gala tomorrow night, Ivy said quietly. Mom's terrified you're planning something. She should be. Dad, please. Whatever it is, get out. Just listen. Get out. His roar made her jump. You lost the right to ask anything of me the moment you chose to help her betray me. She fled, slamming the front door behind her. Cole returned to his computer, pulling up the presentation he'd prepared for the gala. Photos, receipts, text messages, all meticulously organized. Everything needed to tear down the perfect lives Serena and Graham had built. His phone buzzed again. A text from Serena. The gala tomorrow. Please. Think about what you're doing. He didn't respond. Let her worry. Let her spend the night wondering how her carefully constructed world was about to implode. The next evening, Cole stood before his bedroom mirror, adjusting his bow tie with practiced precision. The black tie event called for his best tuxedo, and he'd chosen well. Tom Ford, perfectly tailored, the kind of suit that whispered old money and power. His phone had been buzzing constantly. Ivy, Dad, I'm begging you. Don't do this. Serena, we can talk about this. Please don't destroy everything. Graham, be reasonable. Think about the consequences. He silenced the phone and slipped it into his pocket. The time for talk was long past. The Morrison Foundation Gala transformed the Grand Hyatt's ballroom into a glittering spectacle of wealth and influence. A string quartet played Mozart in the corner. Champagne flowed freely, and Seattle's legal elite mingled in their finest. The massive screens around the ballroom currently displayed the Foundation's logo and mission statement. Soon they would display something very different. Cole spotted Serena immediately. She wore a black Valentino gown that probably cost more than most people's cars, working the room with the practiced ease of a skilled lawyer. Her smile never wavered, but he caught the tension in her shoulders, the way her eyes kept darting to the entrance. Graham stood across the room, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo, watching Serena with poorly concealed desire. Neither of them had spotted Cole yet. Cole! Sandra Chun, the firm's managing partner, approached with a warm smile. I didn't know you were coming. Serena didn't mention it. I'm full of surprises tonight, Cole replied smoothly. Actually, I was hoping to say a few words. I prepared something special for the occasion. Of course. We're doing speeches in about 20 minutes. I'll add you to the list. He watched Sandra walk away, then caught Serena's eye across the room. She froze, champagne glass halfway to her lips. He saw her quickly pull out her phone, probably texting Graham. Right on cue, Graham appeared at her elbow. They spoke in urgent whispers, shooting glances in Cole's direction. He saw Serena shake her head violently, grabbing Graham's arm as he started to walk toward Cole. Too late, he thought. Far too late. 20 minutes later, Sandra clinked her glass for attention. And now, we have a special presentation from Cole Maddox, husband of our own Serena Maddox. Cole took the podium, plugging his USB drive into the laptop connected to the ballroom's display system. He could see Serena and Graham trying to make their way toward him through the crowd, but the sea of people slowed their progress. Good evening, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the sound system. Many of you know me as Serena's husband. Others know me as a business owner, a colleague, a friend. Tonight, I'd like to share something about trust, integrity, and consequences. The first photo appeared on the screens. Serena and Graham entering the Four Seasons. The timestamp clear as day. You see, Cole continued as gasps filled the room. While my wife was billing clients for strategy meetings, she was actually engaged in a different kind of partnership. More photos appeared. Restaurant meetings, secret rendezvous, hotel visits, all meticulously documented. Cole stopped this. Serena had finally reached the podium, her face ashen. Please. But wait, he said, ignoring her presence. There's more. Financial records filled the screens. Credit card statements, hotel bills, all tied to his daughter's accounts. Not content with just betraying me, they enlisted my daughter to help hide their affair. Using my money, my trust, to fund their deception. You're making a mistake, Graham growled, grabbing Cole's arm. Cole shook him off without missing a beat. The ethics board has received copies of everything you're seeing, as have the relevant bar associations. I believe they'll find it particularly interesting how client billing hours were used to cover personal activities. The room had erupted into chaos. Sandra Chun was storming toward them, her face thunderous. Other partners were whispering furiously, pointing at the screens. I've learned something valuable, Cole continued, his voice carrying over the commotion. Trust, once broken, can never be repaired. And actions. He looked directly at Serena and Graham. Have consequences. He stepped down from the podium, leaving the presentation running through its damning evidence. As he walked toward the exit, he heard Sandra's voice ring out. Graham, Serena, my office, first thing tomorrow morning. And somebody get our PR team on the phone. Outside in the cool evening air, Cole loosened his bow tie. His phone was exploding with notifications, but he ignored them all. The trap had sprung perfectly. Now all that remained was to watch them deal with the fallout. A text from Richard came through. Ethics board received everything. Emergency meeting scheduled for Monday. Local news already picking up the story. Another from his PI. Social media is exploding. Videos from the gala going viral. Cole smiled as he got into his waiting car. The game wasn't over yet, but tonight's moves had been perfectly executed. Serena and Graham's careers were effectively over. Their reputations shattered. Their perfect lives destroyed. And he was just getting started. The morning sun streamed through Cole's home office windows, illuminating multiple screens displaying the destruction of his former family's lives. Local news websites competed for the most dramatic headlines. Prominent lawyer's affair exposed at charity gala. Ethics scandal rocks top Seattle law firm. Daughter helped mother hide affair of family destroyed. Law firm Paradise lost. Sex, lies, and billing fraud. His phone rang. Richard Chin's name flashed on the screen. "You've seen the coverage?" Richard asked without preamble. "Every word. It's spreading faster than we anticipated. Seattle Times is running it as their lead story. Legal blogs are having a field day. The firm's PR team has gone into complete meltdown." Cole switched screens, pulling up another news site. "Any statement from our happy couple?" Graham tried. Mumbled something about personal matters and privacy before nearly running from reporters. "Serena's smarter. She's gone completely dark. How's the firm handling it?" Sandra Chin called an emergency partnership meeting for 9 a.m. "My source says Graham and Serena have been explicitly uninvited." Richard paused. "Want to hear something interesting?" "Always." Graham tried accessing the firm's client files at 3 a.m. System logs show him attempting to download contact lists, case files, billing records, everything he'd need to start over somewhere else. Cole's smile was cold. Planning his escape? Tried to. IT caught it, locked him out completely. He's finished in Seattle. Cole. No firm will touch him after this. The intercom buzzed. Security from the front gate. "Mr. Maddox, your wife." Mrs. Maddox is here with Mr. Slater. She's quite insistent. Cole checked the gate camera. Serena and Graham stood at the entrance, both looking like they'd aged years overnight. Serena's usual perfect appearance was notably disheveled, her designer outfit wrinkled. Graham's tie hung loose around his neck, his shirt partially untucked. "Richard, I'll call you back. The star-crossed lovers are here. Want me to listen in?" "No need. I can handle this performance." Cole buzzed security. "Send them up and record everything." He waited behind his desk, watching through the security feed as they made their way to his office. Their urgent whispers carried through the hallway. "Let me do the talking," Serena was saying. "He might still listen. After what he did last night." Graham's voice was harsh. "He's destroyed everything. He's hurt. If I can just make him understand." "Make him understand what?" Cole's voice cut through their conversation as they reached his office door. "How you betrayed me. How you corrupted our daughter. Please enlighten me." They entered, Graham slightly behind Serena. Up close, the damage was even more evident. Serena's eyes were red-rimmed, her makeup unable to hide the dark circles beneath them. Graham's face was ashen, his usual confidence replaced by barely contained panic. "Cole," Serena stepped forward, hands raised in a placating gesture. "We need to talk about this rationally." "Rationally?" Cole's laugh was harsh. "Like how you rationally decided to sleep with your colleague, or how you rationally involved our daughter in your deception." "The firm is in chaos," Graham burst out. "Clients are calling, demanding explanations. The ethics board is the least of your problems." Cole turned his laptop screen toward them, showing the growing list of news coverage. "How does it feel, Graham? Watching your career implode in real time." "You've made your point." Graham stepped forward, his face flushed. "Now call off the dogs. Tell them it was a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" Cole stood slowly. "Was it a misunderstanding when you took my wife to the Four Seasons? When you charged romantic dinners to client accounts? When you helped manipulate my daughter into covering your tracks? I never wanted Ivy involved." Graham shot a glare at Serena. "That was her idea, not mine." "Graham!" Serena's voice cracked with betrayal. "What? It's true. You're the one who insisted she help. Said it would be easier if she managed the arrangements. Throwing each other under the bus already?" Cole's smile was predatory. "That didn't take long." "Cole, please." Serena moved closer to his desk. "Whatever you want, money, property, anything, just stop this. The ethics board is reviewing our licenses. Our careers are over." Cole's voice was flat. "Just like our marriage." Just like Graham's partnership. Just like everything you built on lies. Graham surged forward, his face contorted. Listen, you self-righteous bastard. Cole's hand shot out, grabbing Graham's tie and yanking him forward across the desk. No, you listen, he hissed, their faces inches apart. You took my wife. You helped destroy my family. You corrupted my daughter. Now you get to watch everything you built burn to the ground. He released Graham with a shove, sending him stumbling backward. Cole, Serena's voice trembled. Think about Ivy. Her scholarship review is scheduled for tomorrow. Yes, I know. I made sure they had copies of everything. All the evidence of how she helped hide your affair. Every lie, every manipulation, every betrayal. She's your daughter. She was my daughter, Cole corrected coldly. Now she's just another conspirator in your betrayal. His phone buzzed. A text from Richard. Ethics board convening now. Evidence being presented. You should both go, Cole said, turning back to his computer. I believe the ethics board is waiting. Oh, and Graham? Don't bother trying to access any more firm files. IT has locked you out completely. Graham's face went pale. How did you? I know everything. Cole's smile was cold. Every desperate attempt to salvage your career. Every call to other firms. Every rejected application. Face it, Graham. You're finished in Seattle. You can't do this, Graham's voice cracked. My reputation is exactly what it should be. A man who sleeps with his colleagues' wives, who helps manipulate their children, who betrays every professional and personal trust placed in him. Cole stood. Now get out. Both of you. Cole, Serena tried one last time, please. Out. They fled, Graham practically running, Serena's heels clicking rapidly on the hardwood floor. Through a security feed, Cole watched them argue in the driveway before leaving in separate cars. His phone lit up with a series of notifications. From Richard, ethics board reviewing billing records. They're particularly interested in those client meetings that coincided with hotel stays. From his PI, Graham tried booking a flight to Los Angeles. Credit cards all declined. From local news, request for comment on law firm's scandal and family involvement. Cole was reviewing the mounting coverage when his intercom buzzed again. Security. Mr. Maddox, your daughter's here. Alone this time, through the camera feed, he saw Ivy standing at the gate. She'd clearly been crying, her expensive mascara leaving dark tracks down her cheeks. The designer clothes she'd bought with his money hung loose on her frame, as if she'd lost weight in just these few days. Send her away. Sir, the guard hesitated. She says she has documents from the university. Something about her scholarship. Cole paused, then pressed the intercom. Send her up. He watched through the security feed as Ivy walked the long driveway to the house. Her shoulders were hunched, her usual confident stride replaced by uncertain steps. When she reached his office, she knocked softly, a far cry from her usual breezy entrances. Come in. She entered, clutching a manila envelope. They suspended my scholarship, she said without preamble, her voice rough from crying. The ethics committee wants a formal hearing next week. And her voice cracked. Dad, I can't afford tuition without the scholarship. I'll have to leave school. Sounds like a consequence of your choices. My choices? She stepped forward, anger briefly overriding her fear. Mom manipulated me. She said if I didn't help, she'd leave, and it would be my fault the family fell apart. So you chose to help her destroy it instead. I was trying to keep everyone together. By lying to me? Cole stood, his height forcing her to step back. By using my money to fund their affair? By covering their tracks while they made a fool of me? I didn't know what else to do. Tears spilled down her cheeks. She's my mother, and I'm your father. His voice was ice. The father who worked 60-hour weeks to provide for you. Who paid for every advantage, every opportunity, every luxury you enjoyed. And how did you repay that devotion? By helping your mother betray me. Please, she whispered, I'll lose everything. My education, my future. Like I lost my family, my trust, my marriage. Dad, no. He cut her off. You made your choice, Ivy. You chose loyalty to a liar over loyalty to the truth. Now you get to live with that decision. What am I supposed to do? Her voice was small, broken. Whatever you want. But you'll do it without my help, without my money, without my support. I have nothing left, she sobbed. My friends won't talk to me. Social media is destroying me. I can't even pay my rent. Then I suggest you start looking for a job. He turned back to his computer. One that doesn't involve helping people cheat and lie. Daddy, please, get out. She stood there crying for a moment longer before fleeing the office. Through his security feed, he watched her run down the driveway, nearly colliding with Serena, who was returning. Mr. Maddox, security called through the intercom. Mrs. Maddox is back. She's demanding to speak with you about Miss Ivy. Send her up. One last time. Serena stormed into his office moments later, fury replacing her earlier desperation. Are you happy now? Our daughter is breaking apart. Our daughter? Cole's laugh was cold. You lost the right to call her that when you turned her into your accomplice. She just told me about the scholarship committee. They're going to expel her. Actions have consequences, Serena. Isn't that what you always told her? This is cruel. Even for you. Cruel? He stood slowly. Like having our daughter make hotel reservations for your affair? Like teaching her to lie to my face? Like destroying her moral compass to cover your betrayal? I made mistakes. No. His voice cut through her excuses. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did was calculated betrayal. You deliberately corrupted our daughter, turned her against me, used her to hide your affair. And this is your revenge? Destroying her future. She destroyed her own future. Every time she lied for you. Every time she helped hide your affair. Every time she chose loyalty to a cheater over loyalty to the truth. His phone buzzed. Another text from Richard. Ethics board decision in. Both licenses suspended pending full investigation. Recommendation for permanent disbarment to follow. Congratulations. Cole smiled coldly, showing her the message. You just made legal history. Fastest partnership destruction in the firm's records. Serena sank into a chair, her legs giving out. Everything I worked for, 20 years of building my career, all gone. Just like our marriage. Just like Graham's partnership. Just like Ivy's scholarship. He leaned forward. How does it feel, Serena? Watching your perfect world crumble. What do you want from us? Her voice was hollow. Nothing. I want nothing from either of you. Not your excuses. Not your tears. Not your manipulation. You made your choices. All of you. Now you get to live with the consequences. His computer chimed with email notifications. From the university board. Scholarship terminated effective immediately. Ethics hearing scheduled. From local news. Law firm announces partner terminations amid scandal. From Richard. Divorce papers processed. All assets secured. Get out, Serena. Go comfort our daughter. Explain to her how mommy's choices destroyed both your futures. She stood on shaky legs. You'll never forgive us, will you? Never. The word was final, absolute. Now, get out of my house. And don't come back. After she left, Cole stood at his window, watching the city lights emerge as dusk fell. His phone continuously updated with news of their downfall. Top law firm partners dismissed amid ethics scandal. University revokes scholarship in wake of family fraud. Legal community reacts to unprecedented partnership collapse. Their perfect world had crumbled completely. Serena and Graham's careers were in ruins, their professional reputations destroyed. Their social standing had evaporated overnight. Ivy's academic future was shattered. Her role in the deception now public record. His phone lit up one final time. A group text from both Serena and Ivy. We know we can never undo what we did. But we want you to know how sorry we are. For everything. Cole deleted the message without responding. Forgiveness wasn't in his vocabulary anymore. They had played their game, thinking him blind and weak. They had betrayed his trust, manipulated his love, used his own daughter against him. Now they understood the true cost of deception. Every shattered dream, every ruined relationship, every destroyed career, all of it payment for their betrayal. And Cole? Cole felt nothing but satisfaction. They had tried to destroy his world through betrayal and lies. Instead, he had destroyed theirs through truth and justice. He turned off his phone, poured himself a scotch, and watched the city lights twinkle in the growing darkness. The game was over. He had won, and he didn't regret a single moment of it.